Women play many roles, eh? They have to be a mom. They have to combine that sometimes with being a wife. And then they still have to be a woman. Right? There are 3 different offices. And then there are times when they don't want to forget that they are still a girl. That makes it very, very complicated. It's different in my mother's day. They are just wife and mom. But now they still want to be a babe. And their husbands who call them babe. If God has given us something, a culture, a value, let's treasure it. Let's treasure it. Celebrations, they are purposeful. In those days, kings don't toast to, they collect. They obtain. Right? They obtain it. In Yoruba language, they said the king has put leg on you. Once the king besele, you are in trouble. If you have a beautiful wife, don't go to the palace with her. So there's a difference between celebration and ceremony. We drive a ceremony through celebration. Today is Mother's Day. Pause and reflect. If you just want to go from program to program, I'm not part of that.
Script Q's podcast is brought to you from the Kingdom Citizens Pavilion, a place where God's word is taught with clarity and practical relevance for everyday life. Keep listening and have an awesome time.
Father, we ask for your strength, your courage. We recognize, Lord, that you are the mother of mothers. And that space left by the departure of Benjamin's mom and as many others are here, Lord, you will feel even much more. In Jesus' name. Amen. And let me also recognize those who are just entering the role. I can see some people, I'm not looking at anybody's face. Some people just got married and know they've been working very hard. So for those who are intending mothers, happy Mother's Day. Not in advance because you're already mothering. You saw the video, right? You are the first voice that those kids hear. It's such a wonderful thing. Like I said, I just want to be my mom's boy today. I wish I'm not preaching. I just want to, enjoy the covering, the benefit, the security of being a mother. I live in a girls' hostel. I'm the only man in my house. So sometimes I appreciate what it means to be observing women. Women play many roles, eh? They have to be a mom. They have to combine that sometimes with being a wife. And then they still have to be a woman. Right? There are 3 different offices. And then there are times when they don't want to forget that they are still a girl. That makes it very, very complicated. It's different in my mother's day. They are just wife and mom. But now they still want to be a babe. And their husbands who call them babe. But what I want to share with us this morning is, if we are going to celebrate something, let's be intentional about it. Last year I asked myself, how did we even get to the idea of Mother's Day? When did I first hear it? I think I heard about it first. I was on one of my courses in the US and they were celebrating Mother's Day. And that's why today this church will celebrate Mother's Day. It coincides with the one they do in the US. They have one in Britain. We still follow our colonial masters. So I said Mother's Day is something colonial in terms of celebrating that day. And I thought to myself that Westerners must be attempting to learn something from Africans because we know how to celebrate. True? We know how to celebrate. But unfortunately, as culture evolves, celebrations are beginning to lose meaning. It becomes something we just want to gloss over. I still remember, growing up, the only maybe 2 times we eat rice in my house. Rice is for the elite. It's either on your birthday or Christmas Day. But now what's birthday? It's just a line on WhatsApp, LLNNP. HBD, LLLNP, right? That's it. We don't send cards again. We don't send gifts again. We don't do all those. We just sort of gloss over it. But what I want us to, to sort of sensitize us to this morning is, if God has given us something, a culture, a value, let's treasure it. Let's treasure it. Celebrations, they are purposeful. When celebrations become purposeless, it's an abuse. It's an abuse. So I want to talk about the need for us to intentionally memorialize these days. How many of you know what I'm talking about? To create memories. If I ask the elderly men here, that as much as possible on days like this, we always want to compare fathers and mothers and all those kind of things. But I'll try not to. Because statistics have even proven that great men are actually raised by mothers. So it's not that we're saying mothers are superior to, right, to fathers. Huh? Great men. If I can tell you I'm 63, most of the things I've learned in terms of God, character, adventure, hard work, I think I learned it from my mom. My dad was a 9-to-5 person. That takes nothing from him, right? He was a civil servant. But when it comes to taking risk, relationship, generosity, and all those, I think I learned it from my mom. And sometimes we come to Mother's Day like this. In fact, I wanted to do it. I wanted to go and read Proverbs 31. How many of you know what Proverbs 31 is? Huh? But as I was reading it this morning, it came to me fresh that what you read in Proverbs 31, how many of you know it? What's the theme? Huh? It's not the virtuous woman. It's the virtuous wife. And Proverbs 31 is the counsel that Solomon's mom gave to him. That's the context of that scripture. Solomon's mom was advising Solomon on what to look for in a woman that he wants to make a wife. See, the words of King Lemuel, in fact, history had it that Lemuel was the pet's name that Bathsheba gave to Solomon. So this is not about virtuous woman. It's virtuous what? Wife. It's a prototype. That woman doesn't exist yet. And look at who is giving the counsel. Right? Who? Bathsheba with her baggages, right? So she must have learned from pain, from abuse. So this is coming from a wealth of experience. Because you might blame Bathsheba. In those days, kings don't toast to, they collect. They obtain. Right? They obtain it. In Yoruba language, they said the king has put leg on you. Once the king besele, you are in trouble. If you have a beautiful wife, don't go to the palace with her. It might not come back with you. In the olden days, the king might just besele, put leg, and you just cry home. In fact, you go and give the king yam for Thank God those days are gone because some people will die. We'll bomb the palace. So even as we celebrate Mother's Day, I want us to use this one day in the year that we do it to create lasting memories. And when we memorialize it, then it's no longer about the day. This is something I want us to learn, especially as we live in the age of when we quickly forget things. I call it fleeting memories. And we're not celebrating, women. We're not even celebrating mother. We're celebrating motherhood, that institution. The values that drives it. Especially in the day where, again, we need to always compare. Where the male gender, they are trying to dominate. We live in the days that they call the days of cult heroes. Cult heroes. Somebody did a documentary on Tinubu's cult heroism. How many of you know that Tinubu has a cap? A particular design of his cap. Right? You know that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So when you wear it in Abuja, you can get contract. I have a lot of Igbo friends, they wear it now, the Emilio cap. Right? You have to, because Abuja is now, it's now like an extension of Lagos. You have to be able to speak a little bit of Yoruba now. And it's not only Tinubu, it was like that in the days of Abacha. You have to wear Senegalese and even put a brooch, right, with his face. If you don't have it, you can't enter Federal Secretariat. Or they subject you to more. So in the days where we celebrate or emphasize cult heroes who are mostly male, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it becomes evil. It becomes demonic when maleism, if I can say that, begin to cancel the women, emasculate the women. Those are the kind of things, and what still when it now puts women in a position where they become competitive. And this is not today, right? It dates back to those days where they say what a man can do. One young lady posted it recently. My daughter sent it to me. He said, I've not done what women are doing. You want me to go and try to be doing what men are doing? I've not even done what a woman can do. And then you are saying what a man can do, a woman, they even say, even, you see the competition. That's where the wahala starts from. But what we are celebrating is that institution. Let us celebrate in a way that it memorializes it. And that's why when you talk about ceremonies, Africa has it. So there's a difference between celebration and ceremony. We drive a ceremony through celebration. But now celebration has become the thing. And you know how much I hate it. When they say we celebrate you, I detest that thing. Because it comes and goes. It doesn't leave anything in its wake. So in a day where people easily forget, when words no longer convey meaning, words like celebrate is now used, without any kind of meaning. Sometimes we even celebrate selfishly, and that's what I was trying to correct this morning, that a lot of us are celebrating our Mother's Day. The day it really dawned on me was the year we celebrated Mother's Day here, and a few days before that time, Remy lost the mom, right? It wasn't fun. So sometimes when you dance and rejoice, please always spare a thought, right? For those, that's when it makes meaning. That's when you really value it. That's when you really, really... So don't celebrate selfishly. So we need to have a ceremony mentality. To be intentional about it. It's not only on Mother's Day that you remember your mom. Am I making sense? When we celebrate intentionally, it helps us to make meaning of life and living. Especially in the day where there are too many information we quickly forget. Because the brain has a little, very limited space. So like I said, marking Mother's Day, is it a colonial heritage? Ceremonies and creating memories is an Afro-Asian kind of culture. If you see those who really celebrate things in America or Britain, you look at it, they have Asian roots. Maybe they have Norwegian roots, or maybe the northern part of America where many of them are what they call the First Nation. These guys are Indians. Thanksgiving is big. But it's changing now, but I won't go into that. You see, God is a God of memories. If I ask the older men here, maybe like Matthew Watan, what's your favorite memory, your fondest memory of your mom? I know, he won't think far. Right? He will not think far. He can wax lyrical. Thinking about my mom, I remember there was a day I went for lesson. you know. And where I had lessons, the school was not too far from the house. And a car hit a child. And the news spread. And my mom was racing from the house. My mom was racing. I saw her from afar, but she didn't see me. Walking through the crowd. The moment she saw me, you could see the sigh of relief. You know, this was ages ago, but it's still very fresh. Again, I'm not comparing. Maybe my dad was reading newspaper at home. The boys would be okay. Because my dad could read newspaper. That boy is smart. But my mom was walking, she was looking. The moment she started, yeah. You know, it's different. Now, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday and she came home. She told me a very horrible story that a child died in the hospital. You know. Maybe she didn't notice that I noticed the difference in the way he described the way the dad, right, just walked to one side, and the way the mom was wailing, right? Was shouting the name of the daughter to get up, to get up, to get up. You see, the way the female gender instruct is unique. It's unique. I'll get into that. But I want to say that something that makes us godly is our ability to create memories. Never to forget. To create memories. You see a Bible refrain. So this day shall be to you a memorial. How do they announce, the death? They announce obituary, right? But obituary is once. Every year is what? You don't read newspaper again, there's no more print. Every year is what? In memoriam, right? That one lasts forever. Obituary is an event. So let's create a culture. Let's use Mother's Day to remind ourselves of the need to learn, to intentionally, to ritualize memories. Because ceremonies are supposed to create memories. They are useful also in carving truth upon our hearts. When we use ceremonies and we don't allow them to use us. Yeah. Sometimes if you are just event-oriented in the way we are now, you forget events if you don't use events to create memories. Remember I went to a church in Warri to preach. And the event was program, the way they say it in churches, was for 3 days. Very intense. I pity the guys working hard in the church, getting up early, picking me up from. By the time we were finishing the program, they were starting another one. They were distributing flyers for another one. That one is gone. That's the way many of us live now. We jump from event to event to event to event to event. And really doesn't leave an imprint upon our lives. It's not the way to live. You know what makes my generation richer in terms of not money, richer, more focused, more disciplined? We were products of stories. Right? I still remember when NTA came out and there's no DSTV. We had Tales by Moonlight. Right? We are product of stories. They tell us about tortoise, right? And those tortoise stories is full of wisdom. Today is Instagram reel. Today people just laugh, right? It's just laughter. In fact, there are laughing, clips that is just, everybody uses it. Right? Yeah. People just laugh. Why am I saying this? I am conscious of the fact that, hey, human life is losing meaning. If you are not conscious, if you are not intentional, you will be swept away. I even tell young ones, hey, sleep, wake up. One day you are 40. And you are wondering, where has the time gone? That's why the Bible didn't say that teach us to number our years. It says what? Teach us to number our days. To what end? That we may gain what? A heart of wisdom. We only use it once a year when we're celebrating birthday. I want to invite you, all of us here, to a life that is in pursuit of meaning. Why are we celebrating Mother's Day? Because somebody put on the calendar. I'm sure maybe because of this meeting, we're going to hear the story of how it came about. Ceremonies are supposed to be special occasions. There's a young lady who works with me. I don't know if she's here, but, she had some challenges preparatory to her wedding and all those kind of things. And she said, well, we've gone to court. We've done the legal issue. Then we were just going to do something in church. I said, then don't do it. If you are just going to do something to just commemorate that you are married, don't do it. If it's just going to be something that is just a pastime, if you are going to have a wedding ceremony, infuse it, right, with meaning that will create a memory, right? Everything you do. And Bible said do it daily. How often does God load us with his benefits? He daily. His mercies are not new biannually. They are new when? Every morning. I'm saying this because we live in a time now where we can't wait to get to the next thing. We just want to get to the next thing. We don't seize moments. We don't seize moments. I remember when I had my first child, it also coincided with a time, I've in my 63 years of life, I know that life is about hills and valleys, bitter and sweet, but you can actually call it bittersweet. My first daughter was born August, what again? Please, I always forget the date. 27th. August 27th. The most tragic day of my life was August 28, 1977. She was born August 27, 1987, right? 89. I always put 87 because that's the year I met my wife. So I always scramble it. The most tragic day of my life was when I lost my 24-year-old brother, August 28. So August 27, I was looking forward to that day that I know is going to be a mess for me. Right? It's one death that I will never recover from. But August 27 came. So every year now, August 27 sort of masks August 28. It's sort of mixed together. And it has a totally different meaning. That life, don't just look for sweet things. The bitter ones will come. If you go to church, they want you to deny pain. When I was younger as a pastor, I used to burn some songs. The storm is over now. I said, please, stop that. Storm will never be over. It's like a student praying. No more examination is. The moment you finish one, another one is loading. Another one is loading. So we live in a world where we just look. Job said, shall we seek good things from God and not the one that is bad? The first person they call terrorist in the Bible is God, though. David called him a terrorist. Accurately so. He said, God, you are a terrible God. Jeremiah even said, God, honestly, you have deceived me. And I'm deceived. It's in the Bible. He was talking to God. He said, God, you have deceived me and I'm deceived. Well, it's not your fault, sir. It's because you are stronger than me. What will I do now? Can I fight you? That kind of a thing. So we are not living in reality. And sometimes occasions like this beckons us to come to light. That there's something we are missing. There's a value. There's a blessing that God has dropped in our midst. And I love what the girl said that, motherhood might be biological, it might be adoptive, it might be what again? They mentioned the third one. Huh? Symbolic. We're talking about my grandchildren, the twins. and we're talking about them and everything, we can't but talk about their nanny, one Indian lady who takes care of them in the UK. Dipti. She's no longer their nanny, but every time they visit the UK now, Dipti has a date with them. Takes them out. Yeah. Some nannies will be the mom, the real mother of some children. Yeah. So I like the symbolic dimension that you guys put into it. Ceremonies are supposed to create landmark moments in our journey of accurate living. But sometimes now, economic considerations, recklessness, made nonsense of those epoch-making practice in our culture. Yeah. We seem to live on extremes where we create gaps, just waiting for the next jab. Today is Mother's Day. Pause and reflect. If you just want to go from program to program, I'm not part of that. So motherhood is not second week of May for us. But when we, make our time to have a ceremony like this, it should be a time to remind, imprint on our hearts the ideals, the vision, the life experience, so that we see it from God's standpoint. He doesn't want you to always forget. The number of times remember happened in the Bible is countless. Because ceremonies drive home a point. Remembrance Day, for example, in America, I think is even a national holiday. That's where everybody takes flowers and they go to the cemetery to go and reflect in the presence of their, loved ones. It's a big day. So ceremonies help us to practice reflection. This morning, the kids came here and said, let us reflect. And people were still carrying chairs and all. So we've lost a sense of reverence. We don't know how to pause any longer. Are you going to forget motherhood tomorrow? We lose the point when we don't memorialize. For instance, how many remember what we said last year during Mother's Day? I won't tempt you. We forgot, right? We've forgotten. One of the most strenuous things I've ever had to do as a pastor is to prepare sermons. Because every time I'm doing it, I'm asking. The one I said last week. It's very frustrating. The one I said last week. And sometimes the government around you want to remember something that's almost impossible to remember. My advocacy to WAEC for many years now that I keep doing is, why are you asking someone to write WAEC in SS3 and you're going to ask the person question of SS1? It's unfair. WAEC should be in 3 stages. You should write a WAEC in SS1, another one, SS2, another one. But parents, let me drop this with you because I know a lot of those who are active in parent associations are women. You know how PTA began? PTA was a pressure group. It's still supposed to be a pressure group. PTA was a pressure group that actually pressured the government for sound educational policies. But now it's docile, it's just dead. PTA now, the only objective is to come and frustrate the management of the school. Yes! The fear of pity, parents' community is the beginning of wisdom for pioneers of schools. They are coming again. Why is there no salt in their rice? Meanwhile, you didn't taste it, oh. It used to be a pressure group. But you abandon your kids to these people. Their own kids are going abroad. Huh? And they come back, they won't use the certificate. They will be buying contracts all over the place. Let's leave that there. How many remember? Last year's message. I said now we need to sensitize the women. That the world it's in need of older women who will teach the younger ones. Who will model. When you say leader now, hardly will your mind go to a woman. True? Huh? And things are changing for the female gender. I was discussing with my wife when they were talking about, the need to encourage women to go into politics. I said, not the young ones. The younger women or any kind of hard-working woman. I mean, you can't be telling my mom to go into politics. A hard-working and entrepreneurial woman will never aspire to go into politics. And it's more pronounced with the this upcoming generation, right? That they want to pursue a career. In fact, they see women going into politics as lazy people. They just want easy money. They want to pursue a career. They want to get to the peak of their professional development, right? And now, what psychologists say is that every woman is always looking for financial and economic security when considering a man, right? That's what psychology says, sociology says. But you know that even statistics now show that women are more economically stronger than men. So where will marriage be going forward? And that's why I tell the men, let us work hard to develop boys. Huh? Because there was a time every attention was on the girl child, which is good. But in promoting the girl child, we left the boy child. Now the boy children are just playing pool. They are doing betting. I was talking to some boys this week. I had a meeting with some young boys this week. I said, if you look at Bet Nigeria, how many girls are doing it? Rarely. I don't, it's rare, right? Do you know the budget of Bet Nigeria every month? Billions. Billions of naira. Yeah. If we allow our high schoolers to have cash, maybe they'll do it because they can do it online. But we still need to rate because it's even get to a point now that I told the story here last week. A lady showed up in church pregnant and she's single. And church said, you have committed adultery or fornication. He said, no. He said, how did you get pregnant? He said, science. So where is the church in that? The moment you see a single girl pregnant, you'd say, he's a sinner, right? Science makes it happen now. I hope you know. Aha. So where are we headed? I was teaching my class yesterday, and one of the ladies had, introduced herself. It was the first time in the class. And the first thing said, I'm a single mother. I said, I hope you are not saying that from a standpoint of weakness. You can't have a man raise a child single-handedly. That child will be a wreck. But a woman can do the job of both to a large extent. True? That's why you don't have fatherless babies' homes. Because fathers are dispensable. It's the truth. Do you have fatherless babies home? Can I challenge the women to be more sensitive to your gender? Right? To see yourself that you are not made in the image of a man, but in the image of God. That the most popular description of God was even feminine. Do you know in biblical language, the Holy Spirit is a woman? Huh? Yeah. The most popular description of God is feminine, El Shaddai. El Shaddai is feminine. It means the one who can breastfeed, who had nourishment. But what we are saying, what is going to really help you, like I said last year, going forward, is to see the uniqueness of your gender not as a mistake. You are not an attachment to an email. Especially in the days of Pastor Mrs. and Mama. Pastor Mrs. is an attachment to Bishop. My joke that I always crack. She's not Pastor Mrs. Right? Because if I'm a pilot, you won't call her Pilot Mrs. Will you allow her fly your plane? She's not who she is because of what I'm doing. She's a person by herself. I know, honestly, without apology, church has messed people up. Big time. Mess up. I told a group of pastors, when last did you call men believing God for wife? They don't now. They only call who? Women. And the Bible we read say, he who finds a wife. Can you see how confused they are? Tall. Very tall. Very confused set of people. Remember that guy that they carry? That pastor that they carry up? He said, we want to jam the devil or something. You remember that man? He used to be in your city here. Now we sent him away. We posted him to Abuja because he's not fit for that. He said, take me to the choir. And when you go to, we know there are more women in the choir most of the time. He said, you will marry. I said, what is going on? As if being married is a blessing. It's not, oh. It's not an achievement. I hope you know. And honestly, going forward, another thing you're going to see, women are no longer going to change their names. They're not going to change their maiden names. Yeah. They're not going to. Because they are now knowing the meaning of Mrs. You know the meaning of Mrs.? Property of Mr. That's the meaning. Mrs. came in the days of slavery. Mrs. means property of Mr. That is when your husband is declaring assets. You write one TV, one U. You know why I'm doing this? I'm very intentional. Because, you see, weak men are products of women who allows it. If women will hold their ground, men will become stronger. Men will become more responsible. My parents couldn't stop me from drinking and smoking. When I started dating this woman, I stopped. Because she didn't like it. She achieved what my parents couldn't achieve. Yeah. A lot of you men, you know, you fear your wife more than any other. If the woman just frown, right? If you just frown, you begin to scratch your head first. It's not true. Men, even those who flex, they are just flexing when they are not. When they are home, they are in one corner, pretending as if they are reading newspaper. Strong men are products of women who hold their ground. And that's why strong men are products of women. When Martin Luther King tells his story, he will always make reference to the mom. So it was my mom who gave me a sense of somebodyness. So who told me to think I'm somebody was my mom. So let's unpack it. Motherhood today is not just about breastfeeding. It's not just about staying late nights. It's not about all those kind of things. It's about how can I offer myself to create a legacy. Like the Bible says, admonish the younger women to accurate living, to be homemakers, right? To value, to keep those kind of values. Women who can pioneer a faith heritage, create legacy. Paul traced it for Timothy, right? For Timothy, he said, this faith that you have was first of all in your grandma, Lois. Lois bequeathed it to Eunice, your mom, and that faith is in you now. Listen to anybody's story telling them about how to pray, how to do this. I learned this from who? From my mother. But where are the women today in terms of spirituality? Right? But when we come to church now, we are dancing and we are careful that our makeup will not fall off. That's where we are, right? Or when we're doing praise and worship, we carry video and you are doing live stream. You know one I really want you to be careful about? Age is not a downer. Because in an attempt for you not to age, many are malfunctioning. So there is a born discerning grace that God has bestowed on the female gender. You know, when you come to spirituality, women are more spiritual. Yeah, they're more. They're more spiritual. Because mothers, they give instructions with passion from heart. My mom will whip you. She'll be crying as if she's the one being whipped. She's the one killing you, right? And she'll be crying. But for Papa, it's structured. You know? In fact, what Papa is looking for is that when you are broken, you know? One of the happiest days of his life was when he killed my younger brother and that one peed on himself. Yeah, he was very happy. He will not make it as a reference. Man narewa toara. You know, he was very happy that, wow, he whipped that boy. Meanwhile, the guy was just scared. So mothers need ceremonies that will live on in their memory. So today we are basically reminding you of your responsibilities or the value you add to life. Huh? That's what we celebrate, but we want to imprint it on your heart. So God is calling us as a community, from the parents of our learners to our friends to those who attend this church and everyone that is connected to us, to be intentional about memorializing, especially in this age of fleeting memories. We forget, so our lives are not, they are not together. You know, here is a joke now that you forget your wife's birthday. You know, it's a joke now. You know? And you forget wedding anniversary. It's a joke now. In some other cultures, it's a big deal. And you know, especially in cultures where they don't think too long before they say, I'm out. You know, in the West, marriage is like a contract. You can tear it anytime, right? But you know, for us, it implodes, or we can bear anything. Yeah. Let's learn to make the best